Fadia, both assignment 2 and 3 look great here. I've taken the color picker to assignment 2, things that are meant to match do. I also observed that your values are pretty darn constant in the vibration example and that the colors are fully saturated. You know, your transparency example here is very subtle. It's hard to recognize that for what it is. However, I do enjoy the complexity, and I think all of these works are portfolio quality. Hi, Taro. Good effort here with your week 4 work. It seems that you constructed your assignment 2 from scratch. You know, that looks great. Everything checks out okay. Maybe the interval could be more between the middle and right side areas of overlap, and there is a little speck of blue in there on the yellow where there's not meant to be any. Now, with transparency, well, nice colors. I think perhaps we could yearn for a little more order or rationale with this design. With depth, yes, you've got the notion. It looks like this could be more carefully centered. And with the vibration, things look okay. I noticed there are subtle variations in those hues. Well, hi, Samantha. I want to give you a little round of applause for getting a couple of colors here that look extraordinary together, and even the areas of overlap are lovely to behold. It might be that the left and middle areas of overlap are a little closer together. In other words, the interval might be evened out. Hi, Melissa. Assignment 2 looks okay. I'm wondering whether the areas of overlap at left and center might be a little close together in terms of interval or value-wise. You know, in assignment 3, it would be best to omit stroke. Let's see, I wanted to zero in on depth. There is a matter of competing theories going on here. Remember now, light shapes and desaturated ones both recede. And also, we tend to see large things as being in the foreground and small things as being in the background. So you've got a desaturated color in foreground, it's dark, that tends to recede, and in background, which is the small shape toward the top, we tend to see that color is receding too, okay? Now, let's take a look at vibration. In this case, it might be that value could be more constant, and also, I think this design could be fussed with a little more. Crystal, and there's some excellent work here. However, I wouldn't say assignment 2 is the best of it. Everything that's meant to match does outside of areas of overlap, but the overlap areas don't seem quite right. For instance, on the right side, it's hard to see any transparency at all, and we should see some in all areas. Now, let's take a look at assignment 3. Well, I really like your design for transparency. It seems like a lot of care was used in assembling that, and I think you were also pretty smart about creating sets of shapes and copying and pasting and rotating. One little thing is, I was wondering whether those two conglomerates of rainbow colors in center could be over the magenta, but under the cyan, while the two pyramid shapes would be behind the magenta. Just a little idea. Now, with depth, if you go back to the drafts review, you'll see that I'm telling you that diminishing opacity usually doesn't work well for this, because in areas of overlap, the color's more saturated and it jumps forward, defying the illusion of depth that would have been there otherwise. Now, this is a marvelous color vibration example, and I think it belongs up there with Samantha's nice assignment 2. With a name like Aaron and a green assignment 2, I'm wondering if you might be Irish. Now, let's see. Everything looks good with assignment 2. Maybe, though, the two areas of overlap toward the left have an interval that's closer than center and right. You know, I have to say, in assignment 3, each part has a very different look, and that's sort of fun. Transparency is okay, but I'm more wowed by the look of vibration, which is very clever. And also values are quite constant there. Now for depth. Well, it seems to me that what you did for the bottom portion was create a gradient, which is not a bad idea. In fact, it's a clever idea. However, I will say that both tints and shades are desaturated. Linda, I can see that you built your assignment 2 very nice. It might be that the shapes are breaking down a tad, but otherwise quite beautiful. You know, transparency's okay, but with shapes and random placement or something other than regular placement, I think that your composition for vibration is far better. It's nice to have some rationale or gesture to your design, even a little humor perhaps. And with regard to vibration, well, it doesn't really seem like you have a cool color there, although the magenta is cooler. But I think we can make a little exception because this is just a fantastic notion. Now, I always like to put your designs on gray because then you can see how the total file looks. And in this case, your file should be cropped so that you don't have that white border on top and right. Now let's take a look at depth. Depth is a little problematic for a couple of reasons. First of all, you've chosen a tone which is desaturated. This teal is a tone and it gets lighter. Toward the rear, it gets lighter, and lighter colors are the ones that advance. And I'm looking at the small rectangle as being toward the rear because we tend to see small things as being far away. So you want to coordinate your theories so they're cooperating. Also, when we diminish opacity in this sort of project, usually it doesn't benefit the design. Hi, Helen. This is an excellent example of assignment 2. Everything that's meant to match does, and the interval between areas of overlap looks good. You know, I think I've commented on all these parts with assignment 3, and I will say that I really like the concept in the depth one, although it should be a design using squares only. Catherine, very neat job with this assignment too. Everything looks good. The center area of overlap doesn't seem to be a combination of the two colors of bars. However, I think we have to be ready for colors on the digital color wheel to mix a little differently than we anticipate since we're more accustomed to the paint color wheel. You know, I just want to say I think we've got a great momentum going in our class. Very nice work from a lot of people. And Katie, you are just going for it. Assignment 2 looks good. There could be more indication of transparency maybe in the left area of overlap. Nice system working in transparency. I see you revised colors in your depth piece, and I think that gives better balance. And I'm taking a look at vibration. This is the least dramatic of the 3 in assignment 3. And I see that the one set of colors or shapes is an echo of the other. Ashley, you're on the right track with assignment 2, but remember, outside of the areas of overlap, all the vertical bars need to have the same RGB values. Now, this is a very nice experiment with color transparency. It's reminding me a little bit of lawn chairs with webbing that gets woven over and under different colors. Now, depth is very successful. This was an ingenious idea. I noticed curiously you kept value constant in this one, which is actually what we were seeking to do with a vibration one. With vibration, I'm sorry to say that I need to be the rectangle police here. Tina, nice job with assignment 2. With assignment 3, there seems to be a complex system of stacking shapes of color that renders the left side darker in the transparency work. I can't understand this system, yet it appears that there is one. I noticed you straightened things out in depth, which helps that work better. Now, in vibration, I'm noticing that there are small gaps on the right side between some horizontal bars and a vertical one, and that's something that should be repaired. And I note that this design bears some resemblance to the work of Peter Halley that I've been sharing with you recently.